All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What's going on, everybody? We're back talking some fights. My man, Big Marley, and I breaking it down like usual. What a run it's been over here at Chippin' Nation. Started off with our man, Hebrew Cheetah Rio. Was a member at the time. Shipped not only 1 week in a row the main GPP, shipped the next week as well. Then we had G. Kiefer come up, second place in the 555 for a nice little 12-13 stacks. Then last week, the Hoopster gets the job done, $38,000, something like that, in the main GPP as well. What a run it's been over here. I'm telling you, though, Marley, one of these weeks are mine. 2 of those 5, man, 100K, I was sitting with a very good chance. 2 of those 5 weeks, 100K. This week, maybe is mine. Unfortunately, only 11 fights. Don't really love to see that. 12 fights usually is the benchmark and stuff. 12 fights and over, I love. 11 gets a little tougher. 10 definitely tough. But all fighters made weight. Paris, France this weekend. Another early lock time. It's not like last week. I'm not setting no 1:20 a.m. alarm or anything. But, hey, it's 9:30 Eastern or it's 9:30 by me. 12:30 Eastern is the start time. So set your alarms. Get your lineups in. Do what you got to do. Big Marley, bring you in, man. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's someone watching this stream that can make it 6 in a row for us at Chippin' Nation.
Yeah, man. I mean, if it's me, I'm guessing I'm going to split with some other members. But if it's you, it might be a solo 100K. So you'll be there soon enough. But this is a tough card. So I'm hoping you talk me into a couple plays. There's a few that I like, a few fights I want to target. But there's a handful of fights I really don't have a ton of interest in. So maybe you could change my mind. Looking forward to breaking this down with you.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, this card there's a couple fun fights, no doubt, but there's a lot of mixing and matching and scrambling going on in the past week. It's all the way out in Paris, a lot of French fighters, a lot of debuting fighters, second time out, a lot of low-level stuff, kind of guessing, embracing variants, stuff like that. But, yeah, we'll dive in as always, break it all down. Again, this show is sponsored by our partner at drafters.com. Head over to Drafters, use that promo code SHIPIT. They will match $20 to $100. Best ball season. It's winding down slowly but surely. Drafters got the slow drafts all the way down to 2 hours. Underdogs 1 hour. It's getting rough out in those streets. So if I'm looking down at my phone, it's because I got a show goes over an hour and then I will run out of my clock if I don't get it in. But shout out to Drafters over there. Use that promo code SHIPIT. And of course, if you want to join us at chippination.com, less than a week away from NFL season. Very exciting to say that. Blast Off Bundle 321, $321 for the next 6 months. Takes you through NFL season. Get all of our MMA content, Big Marley and I, fight breakdowns, core plays, hoops core plays, tier rankings, everything that. BGA, it's got a little break right now, but it will be going on within these next 6 months that you have this deal. NBA, NHL, MLB going on right now. Of course, NFL ownership, projections, proprietary tools, Discord, everything you need to be successful for one low price. Can't beat that deal out there. So head over, chippination.com, get in the Discord. If you do join, again, like button, subscribe button, helps us out a ton. Who do we got in chat watching live before we go fight by fight? Leaderman, what's going on, Leaderman? BCM, what is going on? M the Great. Mark, appreciate you guys hanging out, watching live, watching on playback. Like, subscribe, helps us out a ton. Good luck to you in your contest this week. Let's start. First fight of the night, bottom to top. As always, Jacqueline Cavalcanti taking on Zara Farren. We got Cavalcanti coming in. One of the biggest favorites on the card, about minus 350 to minus 380. Farren plus 285 on the way back. This fight's minus 115 to finish. Cavalcanti plus 115. Zara Farren plus 700. So all 11 fights, all 22 fighters did make weight, which you do like to see. Marley, you mentioned Farren missed her first time on the scales, and then she completed her second time. I mean, at the end of the day, Cavalcanti making her UFC debut, good amount of unknowns on her, has not fought good competition. It's the story of a lot of these fighters that we'll be talking about. She's 5-1 as a pro. Looks to have a pretty well-rounded game, I guess, but it's really hard to know with a lot of these fighters. But I'm picking her, and why is that? It's because I know what Zara Farren is. She's 6-5, 0-3 in the UFC, no takedown defense, no get-up game. I think it's a pretty easy recipe for this one for Jacqueline, and that's get the takedowns, top control, and when it's on the mat, you should be able to dominate. Farren throws solid volume on the feet, so I don't think it's the craziest. Low-level women's MMA, you can always spam the dogs. I don't think Farren's the craziest play. In 20 teams or less, though, I don't love it. Give me Jacqueline in this one to start it off. Probably finishes Farren on the mat at some point. What do you see?
Yeah, I'm picking Cavalcanti, but I didn't really see her ground game. What I saw was her just sparking everybody on the feet. And I would imagine if this hits the ground that she has the edge because Farren is just so bad on the mat. She has nothing to offer there. So I do think there's a clear path for Cavalcanti if she wants to take that there. I just haven't seen it personally, but I like her striking. I think she's got solid striking. She's dangerous too. And she's dropping pretty much everybody she fights. Even if she's not getting the finish, she's dropping like that Cornolle girl on this card. She even dropped her when they fought. But I could definitely see her finishing Farren in any round with the striking. She's like 14 years younger. She's pretty high volume on the feet. She's aggressive. And as you mentioned, Farren's so bad on the ground that she could look to take it there and score well also. So Cavalcanti's definitely my preferred play in this one. I might just full fade Farren because I'm not impressed, but she is probably going to get the striking match she would want here. She has pretty high volume. If she's able to win, she's cheap enough where she can make the optimal, even with a like 60, 70 point score. But I don't see her scoring much more than that, even if she does win. Maybe she can get a knockout because this girl's not proven, but that's not how I would see it. I would think it'd be a close striking match. Maybe she loses the first round or first half of the fight, and then she comes back and wins the second half. But at damn near 40 years old, I don't expect her to have a big cardio edge. So probably Cavalcanti or pass. And she is like plus 115 inside the distance, so that's pretty solid. And I also think that I'm probably going to have salary to play with on this card. So I'm going to be able to afford her. We'll just see how much I want to get, I guess.
Yeah, you mentioned the point, like, we got to look at it right away. There's only 11 fights on this card, so Farren could put up 70 points and be on the optimal. You'll take any win at that price down there. And yeah, like Jacqueline, I haven't really seen her take it to the mat either. 5-1, the sample size is small. She's sparking a lot of these people early. I mean, it's hard to take too much out of those fights, which is why this is not the only fight like this. There's multiple fighters who have fought absolute cans with good records, a lot of finishes, and who knows what to expect come Saturday. But why I'm thinking she can get this to the mat maybe is just fair. It's literally just fair. Like Megan Anderson comes in, takes Farren down right away, submits her shortly after. Felicia Spencer comes in, she's shown absolutely nothing. The only girl that hasn't taken her down was Nunez, and we know what Josiane Nunez does. I mean, small girl, was 7 inches smaller, all this stuff, winging overhands. Like, she'll never take anyone down. So the only people that wanted to did it, and it was very, very easy. So if it plays out on the feet for the whole time, probably Farren, like when you're talking the money line and stuff like that and ownership, I mean, probably would be Farren. She lands over 5 significant strikes per minute. But yeah, I'm picking Jacqueline in this one. I think she's one of the higher owned fighters on the card too. So if you want a little ownership leverage, don't think it's crazy. But yeah, it's Jacqueline for me. Farren 6-5, 0-3 in the UFC. One of the worst fighters on the roster. Probably her last fight there is. Yeah, Eric Garcia.
I might just base this one on ownership. Like if Cavalcanti is going to come in heavily owned, then I'll go underweight. But if she's going to come in 20%, then I probably want more than that because I just do think she will spark her early. But if we do get a 15-minute striking match, she's not going to make the optimal lineup, and it would be a lot closer to a pick'em line if that's the case. I just think that she's dangerous, and Farren's not that dangerous. So if there's an early finish, it's going to be her.
No, 100%. I agree with you there. I'm expecting, probably around 30%, 9,400. She's the highest priced fighter on the card, which shows a lot of times we get a 9,700, 9,800, 9,400. Yeah, around 30%, maybe a little less, something like that. Eric Garcia, Been waiting for this all week. Thank you guys as always. Thank you, Eric, for those words. Hope you having a good Friday. Have a good weekend. Big Driggs, ugly card, but fights are fights. Let's go. My exact thoughts as well. Not the highest level. I wish there was 12 instead of 11, but you got 100K up top. Couple good fights littered in here. Fights on my screen. Never complaining over here. We'll keep it rolling. Next fight on the card. Farid Basharat, Kletzen Rodriguez, 9,200 Basharat, 7K for Rodriguez. So 3 favorites on this card. Last one, Cavalcanti, Farid Basharat in this one, and then one we'll touch on a little later. All kind of tied for the biggest favorite on the card. Basharat right around minus 370. Kletzen Rodriguez about plus 300 on the way back. This fight is favored to go the distance at plus 130 or plus 130 for this fight to finish. So it's favored to go the distance. Basharat's plus 225. Rodriguez is plus 400. I'll start on this one. I like Basharat. I'm really high on the Basharat brothers. They're so smart. They're so well-rounded. They're so good everywhere. They don't have the most friendly style when it comes to DFS and watching fights necessarily because they just want to win. I mean, at the end of the day, you keep winning. Eventually, you'll win enough where you got to give them a title shot, whether you're the most, Dan has to, whether you're the most boring fighter out there or the most fun. Some of the fun guys getting early knockouts, you can be sped up through the rankings faster. That's not Basharat, but if he keeps winning, man, what he did against Blackshear, that win ages very well. Dominated the first 2 rounds. 3rd round, Blackshear was still in it. Cardio was there, but I mean, look what Blackshear has been doing. Almost beat Batista, the Twister. Before that, Basharat took care of him. Now gets Kletzen Rodriguez, who's coming up to bantamweight, man. He couldn't make flyweight the past 2 times. He misses weight. Not good because he should be a 125, or he does have to figure out how to make weight if he really wants to compete heavily in the UFC because, man, Basharat's going to be the stronger guy in the clinch. Rodriguez is a good striker, moves well in the feet and has power, but Basharat defensively sound, mixes in the leg kick, the jabs there. I just think Basharat's better wherever the fight goes. And the easiest path to victory, we talked about it last fight, though, I think Basharat can mix in takedowns, just like he did against Blackshear. Pretty much got 1 around, stay safe on top, mix in ground and pound. I think takedowns are there all day for him. So I was going back and forth. I'm curious what you're going to say, Marley. I initially had this as underweight for Basharat because he's just a notoriously bad scorer in DFS. We just talked about it. However, I think he mixes in takedowns. I think he'll be pretty low owned because a lot of people generally think what I think, that he's not going to score well in DFS as much. Inside the distance props, not great. And I kept going down and down. I'm like, man, actually, the more I talk about it, I'm talking myself into Basharat. I like him in the upper tier. I think he's going to be lower owned than Jacqueline, lower owned than a lot of them. He does have finishing upside. I don't think that's the most likely outcome, but I think takedowns and control time are going to be there. I'm going Basharat. I feel comfortable he wins. Feel confident in that. Think he has upside. Think he'll be pretty low owned in the upper tier. So, yeah, sign me up. No interest really in Rodriguez. What about you?
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. I'm definitely going to pick Basharat to win. I'm sold on the Bash Bros. They're the full package, offensively, defensively, on the feet, on the ground. They got it all. It's just that the issue is they don't score a whole lot of DFS points. They can take it to the ground. They can wrestle a lot, hold their opponents on the ground for half the fight, but only put up 80-something points on DraftKings, and that's not great. But yeah, he is getting a guy that's coming up in weight who he can – I mean, I actually think his biggest edge is on the ground, especially early. The longer this fight goes, the more of an edge he'll have on the feet. But Rodriguez is a really good striker, especially early in the fight, and he's dangerous too. It's just that Basharat's hard to hit. I don't see Rodriguez having any ceiling unless he can get an early finish. And if he can't get the early finish, I just don't see how he wins this fight, to be honest with you. So I'm probably passing on him as well. And then my earlier hand builds, I was avoiding Basharat because he's not much of a DFS scorer. I think Rodriguez is a good opponent, just much smaller. So I was like, he probably puts up 80 points, doesn't make the optimal. But my last few hand builds, I was like, man, I got to get me some Basharat. He's just so good. And he could take this to the ground every single round if he wants to. So I've been upping my Basharat exposure right before the show. I would say I'm getting closer to the field, but right now I'm underweight. I might be okay going overweight if you think he's going to go overlooked, though.
Yeah, no, I just like we had the same thought process. It seemed like initially beginning of the week, I was like, yeah, like I see the name Basharat, fight's supposed to go to decision. It's like, let me pick on some other people up top. But I mean, at the end of the day, we're looking at this upper tier. Jacqueline making her UFC debut against 5-1 against Cans. A lot of other fighters up here that are making their UFC debut have fought Cans. So many unknowns. There's no unknowns with Basharat. Like, we don't care about a floor in GPPs and MMA because it's really first or last with the payout structure, with dupes and all that. But there's something to be said, I guess, with feeling really confident he's going to win, thinking there's a big advantage on the mat. He's he's going to be way heavier on top. Like, the more I kept talking about it, I think the Basharat bros are studs. I'm not picking against them for a while. If he's a level above Rodriguez, which I think he is, maybe he does come out there. He knows all the talk. Yeah, like it's been boring decisions. I'm not the most fun fighter. Maybe he wants to come out and make a statement. You never know that. But I think he's just a level above. So yeah, give me Basharat. I think ownership will be in check. I'll definitely be playing some Basharat. No thank you to Rodriguez. For me, we'll keep it rolling, though. Next fight on the card, 11 to talk about. Jocelyn Edwards, Nora Cornolle, 8,300. Edwards, 7,900 for Cornolle. I mean, Cornhole is what I'm calling her. Cornhole, whatever. Cornhole it is for me. Pretty much a coin flip here. Edwards now the slight favorite at some books, like minus 115, minus 105. And that has definitely been a line movement because Cornhole opened minus 170. Right away, Edwards got bought to a slight favorite around minus 120, and the odds have kind of gone back and forth, stayed around here. So pretty much we're in the mid-tier, women's MMA, coin flip fight, Edwards UFC experience, Cornhole making her UFC debut. Let you start first in this one. What do you see?
Yeah, I kind of like this fight for two reasons. For the Cornhole side, I like her because she throws heat. She could knock Edwards out just with one big shot, but it's not likely at this division. So I don't like her a whole lot for that reason. I like her more for the potential takedowns because Edwards is really just a striker and she can be had on the ground. If Cornhole can mix in takedowns each round, she's probably going to score over 10x the 7,900 price, and she has 90 plus upside. But I don't know that she's that good of a ground fighter, and I think that Edwards is the better striker. Maybe she doesn't throw as hard, but I would imagine over the course of 3 rounds, she's the better striker. She's also landing more volume, I think, and she's going to be overlooked, where if she's throwing high enough volume or if she can get the TKO, because Cornhole, she doesn't take punches that great. She eats these shots and then her footwork goes out the window. She kind of covers up against the cage. And I could see Edwards just putting it on her if she's doing that. And maybe she puts up 150, 200 strikes here at 10 to 15% ownership. I'm a little interested if she's going overlooked. And she is going to be my pick to win because I just think she's the better striker. We're probably going to get a striking match. I don't see Cornhole landing more than 1 or 2 takedowns here. Maybe it is close, like the line indicates, but I slightly favor Edwards in this one. So she's going to be my pick, and I think she'll come in lower owned than Cornhole. So I like that about her as well.
Yeah, we're completely lockstep in this one. I hope she's going to come in lower owned. I was hoping the line, because it's pretty much coin flip earlier, I was hoping Cornhole was going to get a little of the steam because Edwards is $400 more, 8,300 for her, 7,900 on the other side. Look at the inside the distance props. In this one, Cornhole's is actually better, plus 185 for her. At least it was. Let me pull it up. It was yesterday. It was plus 185 and plus 350. We got plus 215 now, plus 400, plus 125. I'm looking at Bet Online. So there's been a little buy on this fight to go the distance. But I like this fight in DFS. I'm with you. Right in the mid-tier. The mid-tier is not loaded by any means this week. And there's unknowns at Cornhole. She's fought bums. Does look to have some power. It's a striking background. But we know Edwards. She already throws good volume. Her biggest weakness is like her takedown defense, her get-up game. I don't think she has to worry about that in this one. I think they stand in the middle. They probably both land over 5 significant strikes. Everything we know women's MMA pretty much that's thrown is counted as significant. Points can add up in a hurry. We saw Jocelyn go like 99 with 150 plus significant strikes a couple fights ago. Fought the better competition. I think the teeth kicks up the middle. She can mix it up to leg a little bit. Give me the girl that's fought the better competition, that's been in the UFC against the unknown in Cornhole. So, yeah, I'm lockstep with you. Hopefully she comes in lower owned. She should. I mean, the $400 more expensive, worse inside the distance prop, pretty much a coin flip. You'd expect that, but if you're telling me right now and I can look ahead and I see the future and Edwards is 30 and Cornolle's 25, well, I'd rather have the Cornolle side, no doubt about that. But I'm going to pick Edwards. I'm going to plan on having more Edwards. I think she'll be lower owned. I think we could even see a little late third round finish, something like that. Who knows what Cornolle's volume or what her gas tank's going to be. Again, those teep kicks, I think Edwards can slow her down, go to the legs, break her early with the kicks. The volume's there. Maybe get a late finish, something like that. But yeah, good fight there. I'm excited for that one. Usually not something I say in that division, low-level women's MMA, but should be good for DFS. All these fights matter, as always, but especially when there's only 11 fights on the card. Keeping it rolling. Again, we appreciate that like button. Hope everybody out there having a good Friday so far. Ons Losa taking on Reese McKee. Losa 8,800, McKee 7,400. Pretty closely lined right here, about minus 160, plus 140 on the way back for McKee. This is about a coin flip, minus 105 this fight to finish. Losa plus 185, Reese McKee plus 350. Second stint in the UFC for Reese McKee, 0-2. I mean, man, he was 24 years old. He fights Khamzat Chimaev and Alex Morono. UFC really did him no favors. Won 3 straight, won fights in Cage Warriors. Now he's back. He throws really good volume. Losa throws good value. I'm expecting a fun fight in this one. Kind of similar to the last one. I like this fight more because it's more likely to finish. Losa's got power. Reese McKee, all 13 of his fights, he's finished. 10 wins by KO, 3 wins by sub. Both guys land over 5 significant strikes per minute. The big difference in this one, there's 2 things. I like this fight a lot. I'll be overweight. We'll play both sides for sure. However, I'm picking Losa for 2 reasons. One, the durability. Reese McKee, definitely concerned about his durability. Losa has never been knocked out. And then you go into the other side, striking defense. Man, it's just Reese McKee, or that's part of the durability. Reese McKee striking defense, very poor, worried about how he can eat shots a little bit. The other thing is he just has no takedown defense. And Losa, I think, has takedown path all day long. Reese McKee, 20%, which is only 4 or sample size of 2 fights and 4 for 5. Chimaev went 1 for 2. Morono went 3 for 3, though. And Morono's only other fight he's landed a takedown in 18 UFC fights was against Pettis. The fight after, he landed 1. So if Morono's taking you down 3 times on 3 attempts, I think Losa can take him down as well. I think he can take him down probably every round. If he gets up, maybe dump him back down, throws good volume, a bunch of upside in this fight. But yeah, because of the takedown route and the durability, I'm siding with Losa. If Reese McKee wins, though, he's probably on the optimal.
I agree. I'm on the Losa side of this one. I don't have as much McKee interest on DraftKings. He is high volume on paper, but that's because he landed 124 strikes against Morono. I don't think that's his natural fighting style. That's because he had 176 strikes that he had to eat, and he was just trying to match it. I think he's more of a technical stay at range type of fighter, where if he's having it his way, he's landing more like 60 to 80 strikes throughout the fight. But I do think he is the more technical striker on the feet in this one, and he is live to win a striking-based decision. I just don't really see him having 100-point upside. We don't really need it as cheap as he is, but I would think he's scoring around 10x. I don't know if that's going to cut it. I just have more interest in higher ceilings for the underdogs. But Losa, in a decision, he scored, 124 or 129 in his last fight. Landed like 241 total strikes, a lot of it on the ground. That is what I like about this fight. I think he can get a takedown in each round and just kind of keep him there, land those shots, score 100 plus. And he also has probably just the same knockout upside because I think that McKee's a little bit more dangerous, but Losa's more durable. So the knockout upside's really the same. I'm just playing this one as if it's going to go to a decision. Losa's the one who I think has a ceiling, a decent ceiling in a decision. So he's my preferred play in this one. He'll be my leverage play. With 20 or less lineups, I might just try and fade McKee. If I do get to him, it'll be 10% or less. I just don't have a whole lot of interest in him. I do think he could squeak out a striking decision here. Just don't see him scoring well.
He'll be one of the more popular dogs. Moneyline equity, finish isn't bad. Fair enough. We got to disagree on some stuff. I'll definitely have some Reese McKee. I like Losa, though. We do agree on the pick. keeping it rolling. Next fight on the card. No time to waste on this one. Again, 11 fights. We appreciate that like button. Helps us out a ton. Next fight, we got, this is an interesting one. Colin Lofrin taking on Taylor Lapilus. Lofrin coming in 9,300. Lapilus 8,600. Lapilus, the cheaper fighter, is the favorite at -170. Lofrin plus 145. This fight is plus 150 to finish. Lapilus plus 340. Lofrin plus 290. So you're probably wondering what is going on, people out there, if you're just tuning into MMA. Not very often do you see a 9,300 fighter fighting an 8,600 fighter, and the 8,600 the favorite, the 9,300 as the dog. So that's kind of what I mentioned earlier in the week, that stuff was shuffled around. We'll talk in the 2 fights later as well. The fight was shuffled. So William Gomis is on this card. He was supposed to fight someone that had a pullout, Lucas Almeida. So the other guys were already on this card. This is going to get so hard. This Gamurai guy that now is fighting William Gomis was on this card. Colin Lofrin was supposed to fight William Gomis, and Gomis was the favorite in this one. Wait, no, that's not even right. So, Lofrin was supposed to fight Gomis. Gomis was the favorite in that one, I thought, though. Gamurai.
Lofrin was going to fight
Gamurai, the one that Gomis is fighting now, right?
Yeah.
And then because Gomis was supposed to fight Almeida, and then Taylor Lapilus, he was on the card like last week, supposed to fight someone, and that guy fell off, so that he wasn't going to be on the card, and then they brought him back in here. So Marley, I'll just throw it to you first. 9,300, 8,600. If you want to tell the people, it'll be easier when we talk about the other fight after. Give it to them right away. Get it right. Tell them why this fight's priced how it is. Again, it was a huge mix-up. Fights got mixed and matched. Guys were supposed to fight this guy that are now fighting a different guy on this card. It's a whole mess, but at least the guys stayed on the card for the most part.
True. Yeah. So this is a weird one because, I mean, you got to pay $9,300 for an underdog. And I'm actually a little bit interested, and he's actually my preferred play.
I agree.
The two. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. So Lapilus, I think that they're both primarily strikers. Lapilus, he's, I would say, the better striker. He's fast. He's pretty dangerous, but I would give him the edge with kicks, give him the edge at range, that is. And then Lofrin, I give him the edge with his hands. He's got a mean right hand that it's just a piston of a right hand where it comes out fast and powerful. And I could see him knocking Lapilus out. I could also see him having decent volume. I would expect Lapilus to land more shots throughout the course of 15 minutes, but it's probably pretty close. And if either one of these guys is going to take it to the ground, I expect that to be Lofrin. So I just think he has more ways to score well. He is built like a tank too. Like, he probably lifts some weights, you know? So I think he could get this guy to the ground, keep him there, or even get a submission at some point. So he's the one who has more ways to score well, where Lapilus is kind of knockout or bust at 8,600. He's really not going to be looking to get this fight to the ground. He's also less likely to finish the fight. So if Lapilus wins, I'm guessing it's a 3-round decision. I don't even think he's going to 10x that $8,600 price tag. So I'm going to be underweight to the Lapilus side. And at 9,300 as an underdog, Lofrin should be like sub 10% owned on this card, you would think. Everyone's going to want to click everyone around. I'm like, typically that's a full fade for me. I'm not usually clicking that name, but this is the one card where I have some interest because Lofrin could finish him on the feet. He could finish him on the ground. And if either one of these guys is going to have any chance at 100 points in the decision, it's Lofrin. So he's my preferred play in this one. But I did pick Lapilus to win 2 rounds as my prediction. I think this is probably a striking match. It probably goes to the cards. If it's close, it's in Paris. Paris is going to be rooting for Lapilus. So I expect him to win 2 rounds and just not be on the optimal lineup. But, man, at 9,300 at no ownership, I'm a little interested in the underdog here.
Yeah, I agree with it. So I'm going to try and say this better so it makes sense to the people because I was scrambling all over the place. So why Lofrin's 9,300 is because he was a good favorite, one of the biggest favorites on the card, taking on this Yannis Gamurai dude that we will be talking about in 2 fights. So Lofrin was supposed to fight Gamurai. I'm not saying that name right. How do you pronounce Gamurai? Gamori. Thank you. So Lofrin, big favorite at 9,300, taking on 6,900 Gamori. they change it because William Gomis' opponent falls out. So now Gamori moves from 135. He's supposed to fight at bantamweight 135 up to 145 to fight William Gomis. So Gamori's price stays the same at 6,900. Gomis was already in the player pool as well because he was supposed to fight this Lucas Almeida guy. Almeida pulled out. So 8,400, 6,900 in that fight. We'll talk about that in 2 fights. And in this one, Lofrin was already a big favorite. He gets a new opponent and is the underdog, but they don't change prices after that happens. So he stays at 9,300, even as the dog. Taylor Lapilus joins the card, and they did not have, again, he had a fight like booked. I think it was last week that the guy to pull out. So when DraftKings released pricing on Monday or Sunday or whenever it was, Lapilus wasn't on the card. So he was added. They add his proper. He's minus 170, which comes out about it comes out to about 8,600. So they plugged him into the player pool, and that's why we have all these weird pricing. So hopefully that makes sense.
Perfect.
My quick breakdown on the card. Yes, I agree with everything you said. So I still 20 teams or less. I'm not getting a Lofrin. Like, it's hard for me to pull the trigger. 9,300, a plus 150 dog. Like, it's just tough. Lapilus was 3-1 in the UFC prior. Like, it was kind of surprising he even got cut. I think he's good. He lands less than 4 significant strikes per minute, though. He's a primary striker. He's fine going to decision. I just don't love the upside there, which is why I agree with you. 8,600, no thanks. And Lofrin, like, if he wins, I think his best pass is takedowns. Like, he should have be able to get some. I shouldn't say that. I'm not saying he should be able to get some. If he does win, or you tell me he wins a decision, I'm very confident that he does have success on the mat because I favor Lapilus on the feet, can mix it up a little more. I think Lofrin can still catch him. He seems like a solid fighter, 8-0. Hasn't fought he's fought okay competition. Definitely the biggest step up right here, but there's more upside, like you said. Takedowns, control time. He's more likely to get a finish than Lapilus as the dog. Plus 290, not crazy. So yeah, he'll definitely be in my 150 script. Very low owned, one of the lowest owned on the card. Can eat chalk, mix him in, get difference. Just with 20 teams or less, it's a little harder. Like I clicking him over Basharat, over Jacqueline, and the ones we've already talked about, minus 300 plus favorites, a little tougher for me to do. So fade in 20 entry and below. But yeah, his ownership's going to be so low. A lot of game theory in that one.
I'm going there with 20 or less. I know
Good.
I'm going to have a couple.
Good. I like it. You'll be overweight for sure. And I mean, you put the 20 in the big, well, regardless, even if you put in the $3 or the $20, you're playing large fields. So you got to get different.
Yeah. No, I haven't even been playing the $1 one. Just too many entries. So I don't even know if I'll go full 20, but somewhere in between 10 and 20 lineups. And I'll just put it in the big 18.
Yeah. Yeah, 100K up top. I mean, it makes sense throwing it in there when he'll be one of the lowest owned on 11 fight card. It's very rare. It's not always that you can be like, yeah, this guy will for sure be less than 10% owned. That's what I'm thinking for Lofrin. So spent a lot of time on that fight, 9,300, 8,600. Not something you see every day. Keep it rolling. Next fight on the card, Morgan Churi taking on Manolo Zuccini. We got Morgan coming in. I butchered that last name. I know that for sure. Minus 345. Zuccini plus 285 on the way back. We got this fight minus 150 to finish, minus 110 for Morgan, plus 575 for Zuccini. I think Morgan's going to be one of the highest owned fighters on the card at 9,100. The other person in the Basharat boat, one of the biggest favorites on the card, thinks he probably takes it down on the mat. Probably gets a submission at some point in this one. Zuccini's got some pop. 8 of his 11 wins by KO. He's the Italian fighter. Doesn't have that going his way. Morgan, the French fighter. Both guys making his UFC debut. If it goes a decision, I think you got to hand it to the French guy, the judges, the crowd. Something I'm keeping in the back of my mind with some of these fights. I don't know, man. These are like fights like this. Who knows? Zuccini's fought very bad competition. Not the side. Morgan's fought good competition, 8-9, but 18-9, but 9 losses, only 27 years old. Only one of them was by finish, which was a long time ago. Solid counterpuncher, can mix it up to the mat. Like everything I see is good with him. Whereas Zuccini, I mean, he's starching bums early. Like I don't know. He's 26 years old. You just don't really know what to expect with him. So talking DFS wise, like I'll embrace variance with Zuccini and get overweight. While Morgan will be one of the highest owned fighters on the card. sure, I'll embrace that. As far as the other side, yeah, like I like him, but at 9,100. But if he's going to be, just say he's 35% owned and Basharat's 25% owned, what side would you like? I guess I'll throw it to you right there and then break down the fight.
I do expect it to be close to that. And I would say right now I have more Morgan than I have Basharat. But yeah, I mean, I think just on this podcast alone, I'm kind of sold just flipping that and going a little bit lower on Morgan and heavier on Basharat if that's how the ownership's going to be, because I'm not completely sold on this guy. I put him in my core lineup or my core, the core report right now, but I don't feel good about it. So he was my last spot in there. It might not stay. We'll see what goes in the core.
It's just so hard to feel good about it when you don't, like, both guys making their UFC debut. You don't know who Zuccini is as much. Like, you don't hardly even know what Morgan is at this level. Like, just more unknowns. It's harder. Like when you're clicking Cyril Gane or Sergey Spivak, you at least know what you're doing in the back of your head. This one, there's just more unknowns, so it's tough.
But I would say breakdown wise, I do. To answer that question, I would say at this point I'm kind of Basharat at the lower ownership. But breakdown wise in this one, I do prefer Morgan. I am picking Morgan. I think he is the more explosive striker, more likely to get a knockout. I also think he's the better wrestler offensively, and then defensively as well. I've seen this Zuccini guy taken down by lesser level competition. So I think that is how Morgan would score well in a decision. He would have to take this guy down and kind of keep him down because he's not doing a whole lot minute to minute to score well in decisions. And if he is going to keep this one on the feet, he's knockout or bust because he's just wasting too much time throughout it. He's like 5 and 8 or something like that in decisions. This one's in Paris, so he's got that going for him. But I would actually expect him to lose this fight if it goes to the judges because I think Zuccini is going to be around for 3 rounds. I think he could be higher volume throughout the course of 3 rounds, but he needs it to be a striking match. Whereas if Morgan wants to take it down, I think he could get some double legs and land, 2 to 5 takedowns throughout this fight. The more takedowns he lands, though, I expect him to slow down throughout the course of the fight. And if this goes to the 3rd round, I like Zuccini to be the fresher fighter at that point. So really playing for that knockout, I think, at 9,100, because I don't know that we can rely on him to wrestle heavily for 3 rounds. So I'm kind of just talking myself off of right now. I have a good amount of Morgan, and I only think I have like 10 lineups built so far. I'm going to try and get up to 20. I'm just going to do all hand builds this week. But we'll see, man. I might start taking him out of my lineups, and I don't have Zuccini yet, but he's going to be the one that goes overlooked. He's not going to have a lot of ownership on this card. He's a pretty good striker. I could see him winning a 15-minute striking match, and he's also got finishing ability too. So I think the knockout is in play at low ownership. Maybe he's the guy we want to get a little bit of leverage to, but I don't know, man. This is a tough one.
Yeah, it is tough. It's just mainly when I'm like looking at ownership on this, like Morgan's minus 110 to finish this fight, only 9,100. Like you compare that to Jacqueline, like he has better finishing odds for cheaper. People are going to play, like there's no doubt people are going to play Morgan. Like if he could come in 35 to 40%, he has takedown upside. He has control upside. He's more of a counter striker though. So like if it stays on the feet, I don't love the upside as much there. The more I talk about it too, like Zuccini will be one of the lower owned fighters on the card. You get good leverage. There's unknowns. There's upside. I'll plan on being more overweight to the field on Zuccini than I do Morgan, just because it's a lot easier to do. But my pick's definitely Morgan. Like if it goes to decision, I'm still not. I wish I was more confident in Zuccini. Like these judges, man. Like if it's anything close, like these French are going to get the nod, is how I see it. So I'm picking Morgan. But yeah, DFS or picks and DFS, it's a different game, man. Ownership. Betting, lines, and all that. You play a different game whether you're sports betting or DFS. Sports betting, I'd probably siding with Zuccini, to be honest. Dog or pass at this money line. DFS at the ownership, probably more overweight to Zuccini. But yeah, I'm picking Morgan. I haven't seen enough from Zuccini. Too many unknowns, but I'll embrace the unknowns and the variance in large field tournaments. Keeping it rolling. Again, appreciate everyone hanging out with us. 11 fights to talk about. William Gomis, Giannis Gamori, 8,400 Gomis, 6,900 for Gamori. Gomis minus 210, Gamori plus 180. This fight is plus 180 to finish. Gomis plus 325, Gamori plus 400. So this was the other fight we were talking about. And it's an interesting one because Gomis at 8,400, one of the better win equity, like 8,400 minus 210 is the best money line win equity on the slate when it comes to the price. And that was because he was already in the player pool before we have these odds. However, I like that, and I like how he's underpriced because who cares about a floor in MMA? And the dude's ceiling is, I don't know what his ceiling is. The dude does not throw anything. He lands less than 2 significant strikes per minute, like 32 points, 27, or 32 significant strikes, 27 significant strikes. Counter puncher, he'll run around behind the black line around the cage and just pick a shot here or there. His wrestling is okay, I guess. So I guess if he does get there, it probably is from wrestling. But if he's going to be played, which he's going to at this price, I'll take others in this range. I'll take the Jocelyn Edwards fight. I'll take the Bonas Saint Denis fight at 8,500. Gane's a couple hundred more. Give me some other fights I like the upside more. So underweight Gomis for me. And then Gamori, you get leverage off of Gomis. Plus 180 is not bad. And this Gamori dude, talk about another guy. He falls into the same boat as a lot of other people. Fought bad competition. The record looks good at 12-1. He is making his UFC debut. He is out of France, which you do like to see as well. So if it does go to decision, both French, maybe he doesn't get robbed. I don't know, man. I got more interest in DFS for sure in the dog and Gamori. I think I'm picking Gomis because he's fought the way better competition. Like Francis Marshall didn't look good last time out, but he at least has UFC wins, which you can't really say about the other side. But DFS-wise, give me the upside. Give me the unknowns again. Give me the dog.
Yeah, I'm the same way. The line talked me into the underdog on this one. Just seeing Gomis over minus 200 when he just doesn't do a lot to fight for your money. I just don't trust him at that price tag. So if I was going to bet this fight, I would much rather take the underdog. So that just switch me over to him. I think that they're both primarily strikers, but they're slow-paced fighters. And if this goes the distance, they might not even hit 60 points. Gomis is coming off a win. He scored 42 DraftKings points. Like, that's pathetic.
That's insane.
Yeah, you might as well take a loss at that point.
Yeah.
So at 8,400, it's hard to like Gomis for sure. Gamori, he is a kickboxer, Muay Thai striker, and the only way he's going to get a high score if he's striking in this fight is going to be a knockout. But Gomis is hard to hit, so it's just going to be hard for there to be really any points on the feet in this one. Going to need that one flash knockout for there to be any scoring on the feet. But I think that they both have wrestling capability here. Gomis, it's going to be a lot harder for him to score enough at 8,400 to be on the optimal with his wrestling. So I prefer Gamori, who on the regional scene, it looked like he preferred to grind up against the cage or on the mat more than he does striking. And I think that he could score over 10x if he is going to go out there and look to grind out minutes in this fight. But yeah, overall, on paper, not a good fight to target. Either way, the winner probably is not scoring 90 plus points. But Narrative Street, via Monk Maddox on Twitter, this fight, it totals 15.3K on DraftKings. 16.2K is what it should be. Every fight is 16.2K as a whole. And when fights are priced under 16.2K, the winner of those fights has been on the optimal lineup 90% of the time. This is one of those fights. If you want to play the numbers like that, this could be an important one to target. But for me, I prefer the underdog, the Gamori side of this one. I'll have a little bit of both just for Narrative Street on 11 fight card. Just hoping for either one of them to wrestle. But I agree. I'm picking Gamori. He's my preferred play too.
You probably don't have the answer, so I'm not really – you can tell me if you do. But, like, for that stat, because I'm trying to think back in my head, like, anytime you get that case is because someone drops out. They were already in the player pool and a fighter was added because otherwise DraftKings 8,700 is always 7,500, 91, 71. Their algorithms always tied together. But I remember like a lot of times when a fighter, like there was a plus 300 dog and the minus 400 favorite, Guram, pulls out. So then you get the 7,100 dog that is now minus 200 fighting the 6,900 guy. Or like we just saw it against McKee against Journey Newson and stuff. You know what I mean? So like you said 16-2 and 15-9. I wonder how many of those were like 14-9 or 14-7, like 7,300 against 6,900. It's not every day you see 84-69. Usually it's either 93-86 because the dog pulled, or you know what I mean? Not even 93-86.
Yeah.
But
I don't have the answer, but you guys can go hit up Monk Maddox on Twitter. Tell him the Ship It Nation boys sent you. He's been tracking that kind of stuff for like 2-3 years now, so he probably would have an answer. But I would agree. I bet it is mostly underdog versus
like
underdog.
It's just way down. Like when the winner could score 73.
Yeah.
And who knows? I don't know. Just thinking out loud numbers. You always be thinking ahead, putting context into certain stats like that. But yeah, Gomis good win equity at 8,400, no doubt about that. Gamori good. You made me even a little more excited because I thought it was like Gomis has a wrestling background. I'm still not convinced Gamori's going to have much success on the mat, but you did convince me a little bit that you think he will be going clinch, even against the fence, grinding it that way. You do get clinch control even when it is standing. So yeah, but at the end of the day, if you have none of that fight, I don't think you're crazy by any means. How Gomis fights, it limits the upside for the other person as well. So not a fight I'm looking forward to. One of my least favorite fights on the card, as most William Gomis fights are. 4 fights left on this card. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 4 fights left. Keep it rolling. Main card, now it gets pretty fun. Some of those fights before, definitely not the best. The main card, though, pretty solid here. Volkan Ozdemir taking on Bogdan Guskov, 8,600 for Volkan, 7,600 for Guskov. This fight is the most likely fight to finish on the card at minus 400. We got minus 180 for Volkan, plus 155 for Guskov, minus 105 Volkan to finish. Guskov is plus 175 inside the distance. So in a tier of its own, when it's talking about finishing odds here, under 1.5 is favored. 8,600, 7,600. Everything screams jam this fight into your lineups. Field's going to do so. What do you see in this fight?
Yeah, so this is a tough one. This is one where I was going back and forth. Like I put it as a 5-star on the fight rankings because on DraftKings it's minus 500 inside the distance, which on DraftKings is the second highest behind the main event. So I just feel like on paper,
DraftKings has the main event even higher. BetOnline definitely does not.
Main event, yeah. But like the main event's my all-in fight, so that's like a real 5-star. But this one, I could see Ozdemir just winning a decision and not scoring well, and I'm actually picking him to win a decision, and I don't think he's going to score well. So it kind of makes it like a 3-star in my mind. But I'm kind of just siding with Vegas. I put it in my notes that it's maybe a 4-star for me because of the outcome I'm predicting. But it's really all on this Guskov side. He's aggressive early. He's got a big overhand right. He's very powerful. He's kill or be killed kind of. But aside from that big overhand right, he's just not very good defensively as well. And Ozdemir has just as much, if not more, knockout power. It's just we really haven't seen him use it lately. He's just been a little lackluster. So it's hard to trust Ozdemir to pay off his price tag. But this other guy is so bad that I could see the knockout come in any round. And I would rather just side with Vegas on the fight ranking. So I put it as 5-star, and it will be in more lineups that I create than not in my lineups. But it'll probably be in like 60 to 70% of my lineups is what I'm thinking. And I don't really even have a preferred play. I do think if Guskov wins, he's on the optimal lineup. It's probably a first-round knockout, and I don't want to fade that. I want a good amount of that. I think he's all right offensively. I've never been completely sold on Ozdemir, so it could definitely happen. And I think he's going to come out hot, firing early. So at 7,600, he has slate breaking potential, and I want to be around Fieldway, if not over. But I'm going to pick Ozdemir to win, and he could win by any method. He could go out there and knock this guy out in the first round. I also think the longer it goes, the more he's going to be in there. I also think he's the better wrestler. He could get takedowns in every round and kind of score okay in a decision if that's what he's doing. But if this is a striking match and it goes the distance, he's not going to score very well. So that is what takes it away from an all-in play. And if the field's going to be all in on this fight, maybe that talks me away from it and just hoping that my prediction is what actually happens. Ozdemir wouldn't be on the optimal lineup in a decision win. But damn, man, minus 500 that it ends inside the distance. It's hard to fade that.
Yeah, no, the field's not going to have this fight all in. Like the main event could be 90% combined, something like that. Like there's no way this fight gets there. Maybe 70, 75, something like that. I mean, yeah. So I shouldn't have used those words. The field's going to be all in, but people are going to see minus 400, minus 500 compared to the other inside the distance props on the slate. It's in a tier of its own with the main event. Like you did say,
and it is an 11 fight card, which also. Like I would like it less on other cards too, but on this one, it almost forces you to play it right there, kind of in the mid range.
Yeah, I mean the thing is with this Goose, like the story of this card, I've mentioned it multiple times, but here we go. Guskov making his UFC debut has fought absolute cans, 14 wins, all 14 have come by finish. A lot of them early in the first round, most of them by knockout. Dude literally looks to just plot forward. Like just literally plot forward slowly but surely and just look for the big shot, the right hook, the left hook, whatever it may be. No striking defense, eat shots on the way in. Takedown defense looks bad. Like you said, Volkan has a wrestling edge. I mean, it should be free if he wants takedowns, like free. And on top, I don't think Guskov gets up one bit. However, though, Guskov, what he does have is power. Like the dude can land and Volkan can go out. In this division, you land, someone can fall. If it stays on the feet the whole time, it is going to be very boring. It is not going to score well. I do agree with you. I wanted to, like, I knew nothing about this Guskov guy. I wanted to coming into the week before diving in. I'm like, all right, please be okay. Volkan has looked awful to me as of late. So slow. He's lost a step. So I mean, his fight, like the Paul Craig fight, it's like, dude, like he fought the good game plan, not going into guard, but how he couldn't finish Paul Craig, or it was just such a boring fight. And he's going to just stand at range and stare and be okay trading shots with Guskov, kind of like he did Paul Craig, he's not going to score well. So I don't really even have a lean. I'm definitely picking Volkan. Like this Guskov dude could be solid and no one knows, or could just be one of the biggest frauds. I'm kind of leaning more to the fraud side. I mean, if everything's just been he touches this guy and they go down, he plots, like you need in the UFC, especially Volkan, he's fought everybody. You need skills everywhere to succeed at this level. So take them down if you're not having success on the feet, doing whatever, but it's Volkan for me. But yeah, I'm not going to make a rule to have 100% of this fight, even a second round knockout if it's low volume in the first, something like that. But yeah, good fight. Volkan's the pick, no doubt. Guskov's got power. 7,600 if Guskov wins, probably on the optimal. 8,600 though. Volkan is the pick. We got 3 fights left on this card, Marley, keeping it rolling. Benoit Saint Denis taking on Thiago Moises, 8,500 Saint Denis, 7,700 for Moises. Saint Denis coming in about minus 155, minus 165. Moises plus 135 on the way back, minus 145 for this fight to finish. Saint Denis plus 155 inside the distance. Thiago Moises plus 275. A lot of recency bias in this one. I mean, maybe rightfully so, maybe not. Going to get your opinion first, Marley, but Bonfim or Saint Denis was like a plus 220, plus 230 dog against Bonfim. That was the time to get on him, man. Takes him down, his grappling, his wrestling. He's very strong, his durability. He'll fight for your money. He really put on a great performance there. But, man, Thiago Moises is no bum by any means. And this line feels a little disrespectful. I get it, though. I do. What do you see in this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not like Saint Denis from what he's shown us in his last 3 fights. He comes in his UFC debut, up a weight class, and takes one of the worst beatings that we've ever seen in the UFC. But in the process, he still put up 43 points. Like he made it all 15 minutes somehow, but he scored 43 points, getting his ass kicked for 3 rounds. Not bad in a loss. But then he comes in his next 3 fights, finishes all of them, scores 105, 136, 115. It's going to be a lot harder to finish this fight, but he has finishing ability on the feet. He has finishing ability on the ground, and he has the higher work rate. He's the guy that's going to go out there and attempt more takedowns, probably land more takedowns. He's also landing more strikes on the feet. He's landing over 4 strikes a minute. And Moises is landing like 2 strikes per minute. And he's landing almost 4 takedowns per 15 minutes, but he's shooting for over 13 takedowns per 15 minutes. I just love that work rate. Where Moises, you're not going to get that. Moises needs – well, he could grind out fights on the ground and score well in a decision, but this is probably not that fight. It's going to be really hard to grind out Saint Denis on the ground and score any points in a decision. He's so low output on the feet. He's not got knockout power, especially since this guy's not even knockoutable. So it's really submission or bust, I think, for Moises to have any upside in this fight. But he is dangerous on the mat. It could happen. He'll be very low owned. I think he's in play for that reason. But I would rather side with the guy who will fight for my money, who will go out there and shoot for 13-plus takedowns, try to finish the fight in every round. And if he doesn't finish the fight, he still has 100-point potential as long as it's mostly coming through the ground. I would just worry about this being a striking match. Neither one of these guys is going to score well in a 15-minute striking match. But I think it would still be a clear decision for Saint Denis. So he's my preferred play. And I'm going to try and fade Moises with 20 or less.
No, yeah, I'm with you. The thing is, I think Saint Denis will be one of the more popular fighters on this card. His style is really good for DFS. So that makes me, I'll have some Moises for that reason. Very good jiu-jitsu. Thing is, it's like, what game plan is Saint Denis going to come in with? I mean, a primary wrestler, grappler, very strong on top, will fight for your dollar. I'm picking him, no doubt about that. Like, everything he's shown me, like, I'm not fading this guy. If he loses, he's going to go out on a shield. He's going to lose. Moises is good leverage, but even on the feet, like, I think Saint Denis has him covered. Like, he didn't come in with any striking in the UFC, really. It's improved every time out. The kicks are hard. The kicks are nasty. His forward pressure, I think he's just going to be in the face from the get-go, kind of like Joel Alvarez was from Moises, and just overwhelm him. And, man, I think Saint Denis breaks him at some point. He finds a finish at some point. This dude looks like the real deal, man. A special ops force back in the day for the French. Like, the dude has all the toughness, all the mental, everything you need to be successful. He is someone I like put my money on. He'll be pretty popular. I think it's rightfully so, though. I'll definitely have some of him. Moises, interesting leverage, but I think he gets it done. Saint Denis, that is. I don't know. KO sub. I'll say KO. He gets it done. Second round is my prediction. What's going on, NY Giants fan? Always good to see you in here. Hit that like button, he reminds. We do appreciate that a ton. And if you're not a member at shippingnation.com, you want to join us for the football season, for this week in MMA, NBA, NHL, whatever it may be, head over to shippingnation.com. Use that blast up bundle. 321 gets you comes out to about $53 a month. 6 months from now, takes you all the way through NFL season. NBA will be going on. NHL, MMA still goes on. PGA will be going on as well. Projections, ownership, proprietary tools, everything you need to be successful, including the best Discord in the industry, the best community, awesome stuff in there. So check that out. Baseball going on later. You'll get Hoop and Hamwich on the show as well. So check us out at shippingnation.com. We got 2 fights left on this card. Mano Fiorot, Rose Namajunas, 8,900 for Fiorot, 7,300 for Rose. Fiorot coming in minus 185, Rose plus 160. This fight is plus 150 to finish. Fiorot plus 275, Rose is plus 375. How do you see this fight going down?
Man, yeah, this is a former champion versus possibly a future champion. Fiorot just looks like she is the goods. She's one of the best strikers in WMMA. And she started out as a pure striker, didn't really have any ground game, but now she just looks like she's got takedown offense and takedown defenses there as well. So she's going to be dangerous for everybody. But this is definitely her biggest step up. Rose is not going to be easy to finish. Fiorot does have 2 finishes in the UFC, scored 120 and 100 points in those. If she could do that again, she has a good chance at the optimal lineup. But I don't see her taking down Rose, or if she does, I don't see her holding down Rose or having much success on the ground. So she's probably going to want to go out there and win a striking match. I don't see her getting a knockout. So we're looking at a 3-round decision if she wins. And in her 3 decision wins, she scored 75, 82, and 88. I would think she's in that range again here if she wins. And at 8,900, I just don't think that that's going to cut it. She's also a big name. It's the co-main event. I think ownership will come with that. So I'm going to be off the Fiorot side. I'm probably going to fade her completely with 20 lineups or less. My preferred play is going to be Rose. I think this is a much closer to a pick'em fight. I think she is the one with the edge on the ground. She's more dangerous on the ground. She's got dangerous kicks as well. She could get a knockout. But if she wins a decision, which she has 2 3-round decision wins, she scored 63 and 61. I wouldn't expect a whole lot more than that if she wins a decision here. So I'm just staying away from this fight, hoping that the field eats up these big names. They can have all the ownership they want, and I'll just fade it. But Rose is my preferred play because she's an underdog. I'm picking her to win. And any win at 6,900 or 7,300 is probably okay. It's just that I'm only going to get maybe 10, 15% Rose at that. I might just full fade the fight in general.
Yeah, no, everything. I'm lockstep. I don't have much interest in this one in DFS. It's supposed to go the distance. Rose coming up a weight class. I definitely don't like that. Coming off the worst fight of all time against Carla Esparza. Rose has been someone I haven't had a good gauge in as of late. I picked Whaley against her. Rose head kicks her. The Andrade fight, the slam. Second fight was pretty competitive. Like the Rose Andrade, I think people forget that rematch, a 3-rounder, Rose won. If that was a 5-rounder, Andrade finishes her there. Fiorot, someone I've never picked against. Coming into the UFC, I was high on her. Everything she kept showing, I'm high on her. I think if someone gets takedowns, both girls mix in takedowns, average over 1 per 15 minutes. I think it will be Fiorot, though. I don't think Rose has success getting Fiorot to the mat. But I don't know if Fiorot wants to mix it in the mat. Like, Rose has really good grappling. Is she going to want to play that game on top? Probably not. At range, I think. I mean, if we get the Rose the last fight against Esparza who threw literally nothing, Fiorot's going to win at range. Not as confident there, though. I mean, like, we're talking sports betting. If I had to bet either side, I'm probably taking the plus money and just betting Rose. Like, laying minus 190 in this fight on Fiorot does not sound like something I want to do. So betting dog or pass. And DFS, too, we're talking upside and stuff. Upside's Fiorot, but at the price tag and stuff, on an 11-fight card, give me any win in the lower tier. There's pretty good win equity for Rose. So he's fought the best of the best, a big step up for Fiorot. So I do prefer Rose in DFS a little bit, but I don't love her upside one bit. So I plan not having too much of this fight being underweight and hoping it's not on the optimal. So that's how I see that one. And thank you, Tambo. Check out our Twitter, Shipping Nation on Twitter. Our pinned tweet, we have a giveaway going right there for a free blast off bundle. We just talked about the $321 as well as some gear as well. So check that out. Nate in there saying hi to Tambo. See, we got a little picture there. See that little Ship It hat? We got Ship It shirts as well. We got merchandise. A lot of people in the Discord have ordered that. So make sure to check that as well. Get in the Discord so you can stay up to date on everything. But merch coming out, as you can see, Marley's shirt. See right above Marley's Big Marley 3. You see the Ship It hat with the DK ones as well. So great merchandise over here. Just keep continuing to grow. Add things at shippingnation.com. No better time to join. There you go, Marley. Main event time. Cyril Gane, Sergey Spivak. 80,700 Gane, 7,500 for Spivak. We got about minus 185 for Gane, plus 160 on the way back for Spivak. This fight minus 350 on Bet Online to finish, minus 550 on DK. And then we go, Gane minus 135 to finish, Spivak plus 250. So we've seen a good bit of line movement in this one. Gane opened minus 300, Sergey plus 250, and immediately Sergey got money. It was bought down about minus 200. Sergey's got a little money sense, but I think the line probably will close around this minus 185, 160 range. So how I see this, DFS and sports betting, my answer is going to be different in this fight. For betting, it's a clear dog or pass for me. There's no way I'm laying minus 185 on Cyril Gane when he's fighting a grappler, a wrestler who's clearly going to try and take him to the mat. And we saw Francis on one knee get 4 takedowns and John Jones walk through him like nothing last fight. However, that's for sports betting. Like it feels too clear. Like, how are you not betting Spivak in sports betting? How would you bet Gane over him? Now for DFS, I think Spivak's going to come in higher owned than Gane. Not something you see all the time. $1,200 difference, money line pretty close. Some other favorite, like if you play Spivak, some lower tier fighters, it's tough to click a name. It offers you a lot to do with your lineup. There's a lot of different ways you can go. So Spivak's going to be more popular. Give me Gane all day in DFS. I mean, he's favored to finish the fight. He's the favorite. He has a clear striking advantage. You got to think he has something to prove. Gane burned me last time. Like, I don't know about this guy. Like, does he have any motivation? Does he want to be a champion? Does he care about I don't know. He's ruined my whole sense of. I thought a lot more highly of him than I do now. However, man, like, look what Aspinall did to Spivak. Like, the speed advantage is night and day. The striking is night and day. Like, it kind of brings me back to that Aspinall fight where when it was at range, Spivak, he was so uncomfortable. Like, he was scared to shoot in for takedowns, of course. Aspinall's grappling and wrestling. It's not very comparable. There's some comparisons you can make, a lot of differences. But like the speed advantage, the striking, how Gane can mix it up. Give me Gane in DFS if he's going to be lower owned. I have more interest in him. Definitely still going to play some Spivak, like 60-40, 65-35. But if you're telling me Gane was higher owned than Spivak, I would like Spivak a lot more. I mean, he is my pick. I'm picking Spivak to win at this money line odds. I think he is the value's on his side. But DFS, sports betting, we talk about it every week on this show. There's different games out there. Ownership, salary, when you win, how much you win, everything that goes into DFS. And if Gane's lower owned, which I think he will be, I got more interest on that side. What do you see in this fight?
Yeah, this will be an all-in fight. I'm not going to create a lineup without one of these guys in it, not stacking it in any lineups, but I expect it to go one way or the other, which being Gane by knockout or Spivak by submission. I just think it's a complete striker versus grappler matchup. Gane is going to destroy Spivak on the feet. And if Spivak can get a takedown, Gane is going to have nothing to offer off his back. It'll be in 100% of my lineups. Go with whoever you guys are picking. But I am going to have the guy who I'm picking in the core report over at shipitnation.com. So if you want to see who that is, go check that out. You get all the sports included with it as well. But yeah, I'm going to be all over this fight, and the guy in the core report will be my highest owned fighter on the card. Absolutely
love it. Got to head over to shipitnation.com. Check out that core report, all of Marley's fight rankings. He ranks it on a star up to 5. 5 stars means he absolutely loves that fight. 1 star, he hates the fight. Gives his breakdown, says like Jacqueline by second round sub. I'm just saying if that's what his prediction was. Everything you need on his sheets. I give you a whole slate breakdown, fight by fight, break down all the fights, overweight, underweight tags, core plays, Marley, myself, Hoop, who's absolutely been on fire, cash, if you play some cash games, projections, ownership, everything you need to be successful, we have you covered in MMA, in all of the sports. Head over to shipitnation.com, get in the Discord, $321 a month, comes out to about $53 a month. Our monthly $59 a month, going up to $69 a month, September 11th. NFL right around the corner, man. Next week on Friday, when we're talking fights, football is already going to be going on. Football has already been happening. No better time. Get in the Discord. Join us at shipitnation.com. Get in on the success. And, of course, shout out to our partner at drafters.com. Use that promo code SHIPIT. They will match 100% from $20 to $100. Great stuff, as always, Big Marley. Appreciate everyone out there in chat. Thomas in here. Big PLC. I saw he got his gear. Looks very good there. So shout out to you, NY Giants fan. Everybody out there. Hope you have a great weekend. Hope you do have some live teams, some Ship It Nation logos up at the top. Can give you a little better chance to get there as well. Let's make it 6 weeks in a row. No, 5 weeks in a row. 5 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
6. Yeah, it's 5.
5, yeah.
Hebrew twice, G-Kai for once, Hoop once. 5 weeks in a row for a big score. Join us at Ship It Nation. Get in the Discord. Hit that like. Hit that subscribe on the way out. Paris, France, 12:30 Eastern. Watching some fights for Big Marley. I'm Title Town. Good luck tomorrow, everybody.